This is Philippines. The capital city is Manila. The Philippines is a country located in the southeast coast of Asia, between Taiwan in the north and Borneo in the south. It is an important entry point to over 500 million people in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations market, and a gateway of international shipping and airlines suited for European and American businesses. Philippines is comprised of 7,107 islands, covering land area of around 300 square kilometers. It is generally divided into three main geographical divisions, named Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Philippines' tropical climate sustains one of the richest biodiversities in the world. There are three seasons: hot, dry summer, the rainy season, and the cool, dry season. The Philippines has an estimated population of around 106 million people. Milan, the capital and largest city in the country, houses around 24 million people. The Philippines is the only Asian nation that's predominantly Christian, with 90% practicing that religion because of its Spanish colonial influence. The Philippines' economy has been transitioning from agricultural to service and manufacturing. It has 349 billion GDP in 2017. Primary exports include semiconductors and electronic products, transportation equipment, garments, copper and petroleum products, coconut oil, and fruits. Multiple ethnicities and cultures are found throughout the country. The national language is Filipino. However, English is widely used in business negotiations, education, media, and government communications.
You might be wondering, where do Filipinos migrate the most? There are two types of migration, permanent and temporary, depending on their purpose. So, the top countries that Filipinos permanently migrate is the US, Canada, and Australia. However, temporary countries that Filipinos migrate is the Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Hong Kong. So in overall, the top three countries that the greatest number of migration occurs are the US, Saudi Arabia, and Canada. For example, in 2005, almost 3 million Filipinos migrated to the US and almost 1 million to Saudi Arabia, while 400,000 migrated to Canada. In the United States, Filipinos are the second largest Asian American group behind Chinese.
One of the most common overseas Filipino workers are nursing professionals. The United States and the Philippines created a special visa program. Skilled nursing professionals who face low salaries and poor working conditions and inadequate technology in the Filipino healthcare industry moved to the U.S. to fill in shortages within their industry. This was a popular destination for Filipino nurses, as they could sponsor their family to come and immigrate to the U.S. as well. Filipino migrants also have a better chance of receiving a college diploma, about 40% more than if they stayed in their home country, which is an additional motivator for most citizens.
Today, we walked into Filipino Mart. We learned of an intricate system that allows Canadian Filipino immigrants to send remittances to their families and friends in the Philippines. The way it works is that Filipino Mart here in Victoria acts as an agent to Metrobank. Metrobank is one of the largest banks in the Philippines. Metrobank works with businesses and banks all across the Philippines so that citizens can easily gain access to the money being sent to them. Even if the Filipino citizens do not have bank accounts, there are businesses who work with Metrobank set up specifically to provide their remittances to anyone who shows up and has money waiting for them. Metrobank makes it easy for the immigrants in Canada to send money back to the Philippines, as they just have to walk into their local Filipino agent store, which can be a small grocer like the one that we walked into today. Metrobank is an organization that represents a catalyst of globalization and is shaping our world in unique ways. Now let's talk about some of the winners and losers of Filipino migration to countries like Canada and the US. First and foremost, the winners are the Filipino workers. They get to come to a new country where there are more economic and social support systems for the prosperity of its citizens. Another winner is the receiving country's economy. More opportunities for economic growth that result in immigrants being twice as likely to start a business than a natural-born citizen of the receiving country. This is likely caused by the viewpoint of the economy a landed immigrant has compared to that of someone who has lived in that country for their entire life. Compared to the economic environment in the Philippines, Canada or the US are ideal places to start a business, as there are many more opportunities to access markets with consumers who have significant amounts of disposable income. A third winner would be families of Filipino immigrants to new countries. A big reason why people seek new places to live and work is so that they can support their families in a more productive way. In 2007, remittances to the Philippines was estimated at around $18.6 billion US dollars. This accounts for about 12% of that year's GDP for the Philippines. The final winner would be the receiving country's government. The receiving country's government experiences brain gain. Filipino immigrants are skilled or at least entrepreneurial-minded and young. The receiving government can benefit from taxes being paid, individual and business, from these new productive members of the country. Overseas Filipino workers also help industry with labor shortages. Now let's dive into some of the losers from the migration. The Filipino government suffers from brain drain in this situation. As most immigrants are educated, young, and healthy, the Filipino government loses out on the tax revenue from these ideal citizens. A ripple effect is felt because most of the educated, highly efficient, and productive citizens are moving away from the Philippines. This leaves the economic growth of the Filipino economy in the hands of the government alone. Not a lot of new innovation and creative job growth can occur when all of those people leave the country. The Filipino economy is a loser as well. Similar to the government losing a healthy, young taxpayer, the economy is losing a young, entrepreneurial-minded risk-taker. When these people move to different countries, the Filipino economy is a loser as well. Similar to the government losing a healthy, young taxpayer, the economy is losing a young, entrepreneurial-minded risk-taker. When these people move to different countries, this can have a dragging effect on the economy. Even if the government wants to create economic stimulus by whatever means they see fit, such as lowering taxes or providing aid, it won't do any good unless citizens are there to take advantage of the economic opportunity. The long-term effects of emigration from the Philippines has its most impactful effects on the development of the country as a whole. This is largely because of the loss of economic productivity from young, healthy Filipinos who would have contributed to the growth of the Filipino economy, who are now prospering and contributing in their new countries and local economies. We have 3 policy recommendations to mitigate the negative effects of brain drain. Temporary migration is the first. Temporary migration is for a specified and limited period of time, and it is undertaken for a specific purpose. Host countries accept temporary migrants for purposes such as employment, education, tourism, business activities, and religious or cultural visits and exchanges. Countries like the United States and Canada, where most of the Filipinos migrate, can host programs like guest workers for Filipinos. Temporary migration can be used by host countries to accept the highly skilled laborers, but are not allowed to settle permanently. The migrants must return to the Philippines for at least a specified period of time to allow the opportunity for economic contribution from all its citizens to help the society grow. Narrowing the gap is the second. There should be reduction of income differences throughout the world. Programs for narrowing worldwide income differences can reduce brain drain in developing countries. Many Filipinos migrate to the United States and Canada in search of a better lifestyle and income. If the income differences are reduced, then Filipino citizens will not have as much economic incentive to migrate across the world. Our final policy recommendation is narrowing the opportunity gap. Limiting the amount of contract work and working immigrant programs in receiving countries will reduce the amount of economic incentive to highly educated young Filipino citizens to migrate across the world. This will help encourage the Filipinos to stay in their home country and contribute to the growth in the economy there.
In summary, the goal of developing all of the world's nation into first-world thriving societies is an idealistic ambition. However, brain drain is a problem that involves ethical conflicts. On one hand, Filipino citizens should be allowed to emigrate wherever they see fit. On the other hand, the Filipino citizens that emigrate are usually the citizens that can contribute the greatest amount to improving the Philippines as a whole. This is a problem that is caused by globalization. To pull third world nations out of poverty, this issue will be addressed. Policies similar to the ones presented can help mitigate the issue. However, this is a problem that will affect global politics for generations.